Well, on that side of the road you've got Wilson Business Park. We're in Warsaw, ladies and gentlemen. I was down there. I decided to have a little bit of a walk going back because anyway I'd have to wait for a bus. So I thought that coming this way by on foot would actually get a bit of the calories off, as I'm supposed to do, and I've set myself the task of doing. This is Puławska Street, because it goes to a place called Puławy, which is famous for nitrates. This is now the beginning of a wall. You can see I think the things on top. This is one of the longest walls in Poland. Almost looks like the Berlin Wall, but not so high. The thing about it is completely covered. That one there, since it's been graffitized, has got like ivies and things growing all over it. You can see how old some of these graffitis are. Also, it goes to show how, well, I mean, you can see how actually the covering's flaking off in places. But for many years, this has been. But I don't know how long ago it was graffitized. I think it was graffitized not long after I came, because I always remember it looking this way. But I thought what we'll do is we'll walk along it. What's behind this, incidentally, you can see it's actually set up so that it could be a lot taller than this, but it isn't. I suppose it wasn't necessary to make it any taller in the end. Then the trees would get in the way. You'd have to lop all the branches off, and there are paragraphs against that in Poland. But basically, and have a look at some of these individual things. Wystarczy słowo, there's like a bull there knitting on that side. Various things happening in the middle. I've got this as far away as I can. I don't really want to walk on the mud. Reszta jest gadaniem. So it's wystarczy słowo, reszta jest gadaniem. You only need one word, and the rest is just chat. We are just stardust, rip Eskimo. And other things I can't even read. A lot of the way in which people write this graffiti stuff is actually so that it's difficult for the uninitiated to be able to actually decipher it. I think people couldn't decipher it themselves if it wasn't, there's the Pink Panther obviously saying he he he, which is Polish for H-E-E, H-E-E, H-E-E. So quite an interesting pattern there. Some of these designs you could almost take and make t-shirts out of them on cafe press and things like that. Evidently some slightly erotic things as well there. Everybody got their piece of wall and were given the opportunity to make it more beautiful. Whether this really does make it much more beautiful, I don't know, but they've used techniques like using shadows to make the text kind of stand out off the wall. Interesting choices of colours. You have to say that the people that have done this, obviously they are, I mean, this is obviously quite competent art. It's not like the stuff that you see. And other graffiti artists have at least respected the quality of this work and not put their own bits of rubbish graffiti on it, although I don't know what that is. Sometimes you never know, of course. People might want to come along and add their little bit to it, but effectively you don't see art lovers of fine art going to the Mona Lisa and saying, oh, he missed a bit here, I'll just add a little bit of my own. You see people doing this, of course, to the Salvation, that most wonderful work of all, the Salvation that Jesus did on the cross, that they want to add a little bit to the bottom right hand corner just by doing a little bit of works and hoping that makes their salvation just that bit more complete. But the ultimate artwork is what Jesus Christ has done in terms of creating this world and then saving his people from the world and producing for himself what the Bible calls a peculiar people. And those of you who know us Christians just know how peculiar we can sometimes be. The one thing we don't really like doing is symbols of death, because we're interested in life. I remember when I started to become a Christian, I said, well, isn't it a waste of your life to follow, God and what have you? You could be living. It's not a very life-affirming religion. I discovered that but actually is very life affirming. We're interested in life, we're interested in eternal life. Life for 60, 70 years and then nothing more is an absolute absurdity. So talk all you like about the atheists and what have you trying to make the best out of what they got, but you can see that they don't do that. In fact, they seem to obsess about motives concerning death and what have you quite a lot, and the more you tend to find people who are the enemies of God, the enemies of Christianity, the more they do like these skulls and images of decay. So that's what the devil was whispering in my ear at the time, but thankfully I was able to overcome that rather silly notion that Christianity is not life affirming. Seems to be a kind of stylized mosquito there. This sort of thing is quite good to do on a warm day. I mean, if it's assuming, you know, it's in a situation where it's good to do because the person who owns the wall has allowed it to be done. At the end of the day, what's here wouldn't be nicer without the graffiti, so in this case I am able to say, yeah, well, why not do it? Let them have their wall. And it's a nice big wall. As you can see, we've already been going down all that way, and they're still all that way ahead of us. So look at it here in Warsaw. What's on the other side of this wall, you may ask yourself? Why is there such a long wall here? It's actually the racetrack. Poles are not big horse race goers. I've never been invited, for example, to a Polish horse race there. I never seen it on TV, a Polish horse race, in the way that you see television coverage, or I was growing up seeing television coverage. One of the advantages of having more channels is that you don't have to watch it anymore because there's more stuff and you can avoid watching it. But I was growing up watching, and as I'd flick through the channels on a Saturday afternoon, you'd see horses racing. I never saw much in terms of, well, I mean, it was as interesting as any other sport, and as uninteresting as any other sport for me. There were certainly much more interesting sports than that. Ladies gymnastics, for example, was far more interesting for me at a certain age than watching horses run around a ring. Certainly they didn't have ladies beach volleyball when I was a young boy. They hadn't thought of it yet, so I was left with ladies gymnastics. If they'd had ladies beach volleyball, I might not be speaking Russian now. I might be speaking Australian instead, like that, because I understand they're very good at that. But they had the sexy thing was ladies gymnastics, so yeah. And that seems to have been quite influential in my choice of languages at a certain age growing up. Certainly the whole ethos of the Soviet Union, that it was a forbidden place, they were forbidden to come to us, we were to a degree discouraged from having to do with them. So that made it all the more attractive, as like the area, the forbidden fruit as it were. I'm seeing some themes and motives repeating more than once in this. I think that they do to a degree feed off one another, artistically, I hope just artistically, rather than literally. But it may as well, some of the stuff which is here, might as well really be written in Tibetan, for all that I can understand it, you know. Really not decipherable at all to me. If anybody can decipher any of these things which look undecipherable to the ordinary mortal, by all means, as ever on this channel, comments are not blocked unless you're a complete moron. If you are, then you might find that before long you do get blocked. I have had only one extreme moron that I blocked. Other than that, I haven't got any people blocking for moronism, more for spam, but then the system gets to them pretty quickly anyway. But usually when I see people that are saying things which could only affect me, they kind of get allowed to say what they like. when they say things that could have an adverse effect on other people that don't deserve anything like that, then I do. It looks like a communist. That's the communist logo of the railway workers, or is it the miners? But anyway, there they are. It's socialism. It's Katowice. It's the miners of Katowice. Probably Kleofas or something, the name of the mine. They name all their mines names down in Katowice area that sound like children's cartoon characters. If you wanted to actually put together a series, you could of Polish cartoon characters, you could almost go looking for inspiration around the names of the mines in the Katowice area, studiously avoiding obviously ones that have had disasters. And you could find some quite interesting names for, certainly just as interesting as Sylvester. You know, the cartoon, obviously the main leitmotif in this art here seems to be the indecipherable grapheme, the stylized to the point of I mean, for example, what is this? That looks like da, big. Or o is in oki, if you're into Japanese. Or dai tai, if you want the oniomi in Japanese. Basically big, large, great. That's what that looks like. Whether the guy intended that or whether it's just a stylized A or something, who knows? Really don't know. I don't see that many Chinese people here doing graffiti in Warsaw. I don't see that many graffiti artists at the same time being this quite an interesting mix of colours. Some of them have got a real sense of how to put colours together. Others have like no idea how to put colours together. Some of them seem to have a more, well, I don't know, that's not such an impressive style, maybe. This is obviously, that's a tribute to the football team. If you want to see what it looks like through this wall, there's a really great hole in the wall here. So you can see the horse racing area on the other side, through the wall. It looks like there wasn't one overall director giving any kind of artistic input here. So it seems to be very random. Here I have these blue letters made from cheese with a blue top, saying who knows what, and even if they're letters or numbers or what they are, with a person in a straight jacket with a visor on, like the guy in Star Trek Next Generation, and another one, and FUBU is what he appears to be saying, and then the next thing is a train pulling into a station with all the nice elements above of actually quite accurate drawings of the electrics at the top there, the mechanism whereby the train gets its electricity from the cable. Actually quite an attention to detail on the proportions there, and the no smoking sign, and how it looks very accurate. I don't know if the guy did it from memory or if he had a picture of the thing with him that he wanted to draw. I suppose you just simply need to know the proportions of what you're being given. I suppose you can always pad it out a bit if you don't know the proportions. No, that can't be you. Bonus, it is though. Supergirl, now you know the secret I've kept for years. And that is the wolf from the Soviet cartoon series Nu Pagadi. And here Nu is written, but Sime or Simk, I'm not sure what that last letter is supposed to be, a C or an E, or supposed to be ambiguous, I don't know. These are almost windows. But it is completely random. You don't know what you're going to get on the next canvas, if you like. It's obviously a brick wall rather than a canvas, but And there it is. It's somehow in many cases managed to seep in so far that even as the walls flaked, it stayed there. Either that or it was made on a flaked wall in the first place.